Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Today we are going to be looking at Proverbs Chapter 21, and thank you so very much for joining me on this journey as we read through the Bible chapter by chapter. I really do appreciate that. I'm going to be reading this chapter from the easy to read version, which is the ERV version, and I'm going to be sharing my insight as I read verse by verse. If you haven't read this chapter, please pause this recording and read the chapter for yourself. Understand and hear what the Lord wants to speak to you directly, because He does want to speak to you. He wants to speak into the spaces that you're in, the season that you're in. He wants to speak about the things that you are planning to do. He just wants to speak to you. So give Him a chance to speak to you specifically. All right, let's get ready to read. Proverbs chapter 21, easy to read version. It says, "To the Lord, a king's mind is like a ditch used to water the field. He can lead the king wherever he wants him to go." I like that. I hope that the Lord would use me and just, take me and lead me wherever it is that He wants to go, and so that I can be used as a ditch that actually waters the field. I like that. Verse 2 says, "People think that whatever they do is right, but the Lord judges the reasons for everything they do." This means that, human beings, we tend to justify our own actions and believe that what we are doing is right. But God looks beyond our outward actions to judge the motives, the true motives, the intentions and the thoughts of our hearts. So it is important that the thoughts of our hearts, our intentions, our motives are actually right before we start doing the actions. Because we can be doing really good actions. We can be gifting to the poor. We can be doing all those things, but our intentions are wrong. Our motives are wrong. Our motivations are wrong. Our thoughts of the hearts are wrong. So it is good that we first check to make sure that these are correct. Verse 3 says, "Do what is right and fair, that the Lord loves that more than sacrifices." That the Lord loves what is right and fair more than sacrifices. Just last week, I was, scrolling through Insta, and I bumped into one of those Apostle Joshua Selman's reels. And he was saying that it is better to live for Jesus than to give to ministry, than to serve Jesus in a church, than to give to the poor, than to give to the elderly, than to pay school fees for people, than to pay school fees like, medical bills for people. And he was just saying it is better to actually just live for Jesus than to do that. And that really intrigued me. That we can do all these things. We can lead worship in church. We can give all our wealth to the church. But the most important thing, and the one thing that the Lord desires of us, is that we live a life that shows that we fear and love the Lord. That's like, if we do that, we've nailed it. That's like the one thing that the Lord first requires us to do. Because we could be preaching out here. We could be doing all these things that we do. We could be even, go here and make disciples. We could be making disciples left, right, and center. But if we are not living a life that is right and fair, if you're not living a life that shows that you actually fear and love the Lord, all these other things are null and void. And I was just like, very interesting. Verse 4 says, "Proud looks and proud thoughts are sins. They show that a person is evil." Woo. Verse 5 says, "Careful planning leads to profit. Acting too quick leads to poverty." Sometimes I wonder whether I'm acting too quick. Am I carefully planning the things that I want to do? Am I carefully planning even the things that the Lord has asked me to do, so then I don't act too quickly and bring myself to poverty? Verse 6 says, "Wealth that comes from telling lies disappears quickly and leads to death." Self-explanatory. The bad things that evil people do will destroy them because they refuse to do what is right. Criminals cause trouble wherever they go, but good people are honest and fair. It is better to live in a small corner of the roof than to share a house with a woman who is always arguing. This is the second time that we are hearing Solomon speak about this, and he had every moral authority to speak about this, because he had how many wives? 300 wives and 700 concubines. So he knows that it is better to live at a corner of a house than to live in a mansion of a house where a woman is always arguing. Number 10, verse 10, it says, "Evil people always want to do more evil, and they show no mercy to people around them." Verse 11 says, "When you punish a proud person who laughs at what is right, even fools will learn something." but a little instruction is enough for the wise to learn what they should. I pray that we are those people that just need little instruction, that we don't need to be punished bele ya umati just so that we can learn something. Verse 12 says, God is good. He knows that he knows what the wicked are doing, and he will punish them. Verse 13 says, those who refuse to help the poor will not receive help when they need it themselves. Verse 14 says, if anyone is angry with you, give them a gift in private. A gift given in secret will calm even the strongest anger. That's very interesting. Like if someone is angry with you, you can just call them to the side and give them a gift. Does that sound like bribery? No, it's not bribery. It's you're trying to calm down their anger. Wow. All right. Verse 15 says, a decision that is fair makes good people happy, and it makes those who are evil afraid. Whoever leaves the path of wisdom will be on their way to an early death. Loving pleasure leads to poverty. Wine and luxury will never make you wealthy. Oh my goodness, guys, let me just read that again, because I feel like this is speaking to me. Loving pleasure leads to poverty. Wine and luxury will never make you wealthy. Why do I feel like this is speaking to me? Because I really love good lifestyles. I hear you guys, mi napenda lifestyle mzuri. I'm just like, what is this telling me? That my good lifestyle might lead me to poverty. That this love of good lifestyle will lead me to poverty. I need to be very careful about how I use my money. I need to be very careful about how I steward that which that the Lord has given me. If it's not like super necessary, it needs to not be purchased. Honestly, if it's not super necessary, it needs to not be purchased. That's what I'm hearing the Lord telling me. Verse 18 says, the wicked must pay for what happens to good people. The cheaters will be taken in exchange for the honest. It is better to live alone in the desert than with a quick-tempered wife who loves to argue. This is the third time we are hearing this from Solomon. Verse 20 says, wise people save the nice things they have. Fools use up everything as soon as they get it. This is again speaking about how you use your money, how you spend your money, how you spend the things that the Lord has placed in like God has given you. How do you spend those things? Are you saving up for yourself? Are you investing? Or are you just using everything? So nalipo leo, kesho you have zero, nothing to show for anything. Verse 21, people who try hard to do good and be faithful will find life, goodness, and honor. A wise person can defeat a city full of warriors and tear down the defenses they trust in. People who are careful about what they say will save themselves from trouble. Proud people think they are better than others. They show that they are evil, proud people think that they are better than others. They show that they are evil by what they do. Lazy people will cause their own destruction because they refuse to work. Laziness is not even encouraged, even a little, in the Bible. Some people are greedy and never have enough. Some people are generous and have plenty. This reminds me of a verse, I think it's in Psalm, that says that there is a person who is stingy and he just he's always just poor. He's just always in lack. But there is someone who spreads and just gives generously and he's always rich. I love that. So generosity is greater than being greedy and being stingy. Verse 27 says, God hates sacrifices from wicked people, especially when the reason of offering them is evil. Witnesses who lie will be caught and punished. A careful listener will always be there to speak up. Good people know they are right, but the wicked have to pretend. Ooh. There is no one wise enough to make a plan that can succeed if the Lord is against it. Ooh, dear Lord. Hey, let me read that again, guys. Verse 30, it says, there is no one wise enough to make a plan that can succeed if the Lord is against it. Let me see what that verse says in like ESV. What it says in the ESV version. Just give me a minute as I open it in the ESV version. It says, no wisdom, no understanding, no counsel can avail against the Lord. You are never wise enough to make a plan if the Lord is against. Like, you cannot make a plan that will succeed. It doesn't matter how much wisdom you think you are, knowledge and counsel. If the Lord is against it, it will not succeed. So again, as I keep saying, it is important for us to seek the Lord's purpose before we make plans. Verse 31 says, you can prepare a horse for battle, but only the Lord gives victory. You can prepare a house for battle, but only the Lord gives victory. I like that. I like what that says. It says, like, you can do all the things that you want to do, but it is only the Lord that actually gives victory. I love that. I really love that. I love that. All right, so what am I picking from this? What is the most important thing that I picked from this chapter? I think for me, it is that it is important to live for Jesus rather than to do all these other shenanigans. It is better to just live for Jesus and live a life in a way that it shows that you fear and love the Lord, than you're up there doing everything, being Mama Kanisa, being everything else, and you're not living a life that shows that you fear and love the Lord. If you are to do all those things, those are the things that we need to do: the serving the Lord, the giving to the poor. The first and foremost thing we need to do is to make sure that our hearts are in the right place, our intentions are in the right place, our motivations are in the right place, and even our lives align to that which we are preaching out there, so that we are not preaching water and taking wine. Thank you so much for listening, and see you tomorrow.